Hello everyone, I'm Jacob Kaufman, and with NerdOnTheStreet.com, here's your Nerd on the Street news for the week of March 8th, 2015. Before we start, I know I talked about net neutrality a whole lot on this show, and net neutrality was voted in, so the internet is now a public utility in the United States. Congratulations, I'm sorry, whatever. Like I've talked about, there were upsides and downsides to both having and not having government-regulated net neutrality, so we'll see where that goes. Now to some more recent news. Valve has been talking about Steamos and the Steam machine for a really long time. Steamos is an Ubuntu-based Linux distribution, and it's made specifically for playing games on Steam. And one of the things that Steam as a PC gaming platform competes with is console gamers. Steam competes with the Xbox and the PlayStation and the Wii, even though in the past it hasn't really been an actual console, it's just been something you put on your computer, and some people prefer playing games on computers, some people prefer playing games on their TVs. Well, for those people who do like to play games on their TVs, there's now a line of Steam machines that have been revealed. Previously referred to as Steam boxes, Steam machines are pre-built computers that have Steamos on them, and they're made to use your TV as a display, and they're made to use controllers as input. So you can get one of these Steam boxes. One of the main complaints people have about PC gaming is, I have to go out, pick out hardware components, pick out my graphics card, pick out my processor, all of that. And now you don't really have to. You can pick from a list of pre-built Steam machines, connect it up to your TV, get a controller for it if you don't already have one, turn it on, log into Steam, and you've got a Steam box. You can play PC games on your TV, have great graphics quality, great online play capabilities. So a lot of people thought that the Steam box, or several Steam boxes, were going to be produced by Valve itself. Well, Valve went a different direction with it. There are actually a number of different companies, such as iBuyPower, Falcon Northwest, and Origin, that produce Steam machines, and those Steam machines are, I don't know if they're certified by Valve or if they're just sent to Valve, like here's a Steam machine, but Valve now has a section on their website that lists out all the Steam machines. You can compare the specs and pick one out. So it still lets you customize your experience. You can get a better Steam machine if you've got a little more money to spend, or if you're on a tighter budget, you can get a lower powered Steam machine. But it's still easier and more like buying a console than building an entire computer yourself. PC World has a very nice slideshow showing some of the more noteworthy Steam machines, and you can find the link to that slideshow in the description of this video. If you listen to music a lot, but you don't like buying individual songs, you probably either look up music videos on YouTube, which is annoying because you have to research for every song, or you might use playlists or something, or you might use a service like Pandora. Pandora is a service that you type in the type of music you want to listen to, and it creates a radio station for you. And basically what it does is it makes a playlist of that type of music, and while the playlist is playing, you can rate different songs, and based on your ratings, it'll change what it has queued up to play next, and it's really cool. Now, even if you don't listen to music in your free time a lot, one of the other things Pandora is great for is parties. If you're throwing a party, you can turn Pandora on and have background music set up for you. You don't have to set up your own playlist. Well, just like the regular radio, Pandora makes money off of advertisements. And in the past, you could buy Pandora One, and Pandora One is a $5 per month thing where you get a couple of extra features with Pandora. You get a little bit more customizability with your radio stations. It's internet radio stations. And also, if you have Pandora One, you get ad-free listening. So if you throw a lot of parties, you might have already gotten Pandora One, so you could turn on Pandora for background music and not have to worry about advertisements in the background of your party. Well, Pandora is planning to offer ad-free day passes later this year. And that's really cool because if you don't actually use Pandora personally, but you still like to turn it on for parties, you can purchase a day pass just for one day that you're hosting a party. Or maybe if you host a couple parties a year, you can just buy a couple day passes. And rather than the $60 per year for Pandora One, you can end up spending just a couple dollars per year for a couple days of ad-free listening. Right now, Pandora is still figuring out their pricing model for this, but they're thinking it's going to be around the order of 99 cents per day, and that's really cool. I listened to a podcast called the Linux Action Show, and the Linux Action Show talks about UbuntuMATE edition quite a lot. And so I was pretty excited when I found out that UbuntuMATE is now an official spin of Ubuntu. Starting with the Ubuntu 15.04 family, UbuntuMATE will be supported in the same way as Kubuntu and Xubuntu and Lubuntu, and Ubuntu GNOME and all of the other Ubuntu variants. If you're already using UbuntuMATE, you won't see much of a change, it's more of a political thing. But UbuntuMATE might be getting some extra resources from Canonical maybe, or I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it's official that UbuntuMATE is now an official distribution of Ubuntu, and it has Ubuntu's seal of approval. Last Thursday, Microsoft confirmed that Windows is vulnerable to something called a freak attack. Freak is in all caps, and so I think it stands for something. What the attack does is there are a number of security protocols online right now. There's SSL, there's several versions of SSL, and some of the later versions of SSL have been rebranded to TLS. So what these attacks do on Windows, I think when you're using Internet Explorer, but it could affect other browsers too. It tricks your computer when you're connecting to a secure website into thinking that the website is using an older version of the security protocol than it actually is. So even if the website has done what it's supposed to and upgraded to the latest version of TLS, the attacker can make your computer think that it needs to use an older version of SSL. And then the website can think that, oh, since your computer is using an older version of SSL, it needs to use an older version of SSL as well. And now since you're using an older protocol, it's open to a lot more security vulnerabilities. Those vulnerabilities open you up to man-in-the-middle attacks, where people can listen in on your network traffic and find out what you're sending, so passwords and just information you're typing into websites in general. Microsoft confirmed that the bug affects every version of Windows that is still supported, and researchers think it also affects Windows XP, although Microsoft will not be patching Windows XP because it is past its expiration date. So if you're on Windows XP, here's just one more reason to upgrade either to a newer version of Windows or to Linux. And if you're using an older computer, UbuntuMATE might be the way to go. The United States State Department recently found out that Hillary Clinton was using her personal email address for a lot of business emails. Rather than using her @state.gov account, she was using her @clintonemail.com account for official correspondences. And there were no rules against that in the State Department. Theoretically, Clinton should have emailed copies of any official emails to her official account to archive them. And she did do that for some of her emails. There's talk that she might not have done it for all of her emails. And now people are asking questions because it appears that Clinton didn't even make an effort to use her @state.gov email account. She was trying to stick to her personal account. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because in private companies, IT departments would not let that happen. In schools, teachers cannot email parents using their personal accounts. They have to go through the school's email account. And in a lot of other companies, also, employees are required to use their business email accounts for conducting business. They are not allowed to conduct business over their personal accounts. So why is the State Department allowing that to happen? People are now asking, because that kind of thing can lower security, it can open the door for scandals, and now these people are regulating the internet. So, not the exact same people, I know. So I recently changed web browsers. I changed my default web browser from Firefox to Google Chrome/Chromium. I use Chromium where I can, otherwise I use Google Chrome. While I was looking at different browsers, I came across Opera. I already knew about Opera, but I tried it out, and I found that it was missing a lot of the power user features that I thought it had. And Opera recently had sort of a change in philosophy. When they changed their engine that they're using to be a Chromium-based engine, they're using, I think it's called Blink, or maybe it's just WebKit. They're using a very similar engine to the engine that Google Chrome uses for their web browser, and when they did that, they rebuilt the entire application from the ground up. And at first, when they did that, they didn't have very many features because they were starting from scratch. But then they chose just not to implement a lot of those old features, and they chose, instead of rewriting those features, they were just going to market themselves to non-power users. They're now the browser for the average person, and they don't have a lot of advanced features anymore. For instance, Opera comes with like 8 default search engines, and if you want to use a default search engine that's not one of those 8, you're just out of luck. You cannot set a default search engine that is not built into Opera. Some Opera employees broke off from Opera and formed Vivaldi. And Vivaldi is quickly becoming a very popular alternative browser for power users. Some of its features are selective image loading for if you're on a limited internet connection, automatic scrolling to second pages of an article rather than having to click on page 2. And they're also working on a new feature called spatial navigation that should let you navigate the internet entirely on your keyboard without having to use your mouse at all. I have not tried Vivaldi out myself because it's still in its technical preview, but as soon as they have something stable out, then I will be sure to take a look. And if you're interested in trying it out now and maybe giving feedback to them because that would help the project, then you should certainly do that too. The BitTorrent software uTorrent has been accused of bundling its installer with some crapware. This particular malware loads up on your computer and mines bitcoins for other people, not for you. It mines bitcoins for the company that made the software. So that wastes processing power on your computer. It wastes actual power on your computer as well. If you actually go through the uTorrent setup, it does package this. It's called Epic Scale is the name of the application. There is a full installation page dedicated to explaining what Epic Scale is. Well, it has about a paragraph on what Epic Scale is, and then it's got an end-user license agreement, so you're supposed to read through that, and then you can either accept or decline the offer. And even though accept offer is highlighted by default, so if you just press enter without reading it, you will get this software, there is a full page just about this. It's not just one checkbox, it's a full page in the installer, and there is a decline button that reportedly works. So like a couple of weeks ago when Lenovo was loading their laptops, was preloading their laptops with malware, that was, against the will of end users. This is not like that. It's asking you before it installs the software. So I wouldn't see this as a reason to avoid using uTorrent. I would just be careful not to install the software when you're installing uTorrent. The biggest thing I learned when I read this story was uTorrent is actually made by BitTorrent Inc. And BitTorrent Inc. is the company. Like, there's the BitTorrent protocol, and then there's BitTorrent, the company. It's actually made by the company, and the company also makes the software called BitTorrent. So the same company, BitTorrent Inc., makes two competing torrent softwares. I did not know that. I thought that uTorrent was made by a different company than the official BitTorrent client. uTorrent is marketed as sort of a lower footprint application on your system. BitTorrent Inc. probably acquired uTorrent at some point, because I doubt they would have just started two torrent softwares by themselves. So to wrap things up this week, I found a nice fun article for you guys to read. I like to end off every episode of Nerd on the Street News with a fun article that's not necessarily news, but is probably going to entertain you more than the rest of the articles. So here's what I found. Everyone knows that Windows Update is annoying. Automatic Update is even more annoying because it restarts your computer sometimes while you're in the middle of your work. Normally it does ask you first, but say you leave a document open on your computer and you forget to save it, and then you go to bed. Then the next morning you go back to your computer and your document's gone because Windows automatically restarted its stuff. Or let's say you just need to restart your computer because a driver's acting up. Well, now Windows Update demands that you install all of these 50 or 60 updates that you have, and now what was supposed to be a 2-minute computer restart is now a 30-minute restart. Well, sometimes Windows updates don't even do what they're supposed to. Sometimes they break your computer. I've had this happen before. When I had my old Windows Vista laptop, when Windows Update automatically installed Service Pack 2, it completely broke the system, and I had to have a friend help me revert back to Service Pack 1. That was before I knew how to do it myself. Now I know how to do it myself because they showed me. But here's a list, courtesy of Computer World, of 20 Windows automatic updates that screwed people's computers up. It's in slideshow format. You can go and read through. It's really funny what some of it did. It ranges from just making bugs appear to completely locking up systems, locking people out of systems. And you can see why automatic updates are not necessarily good to have turned on. So that's all the stories I have to talk about. If you want to submit any stories, or if you want to talk about any of these, you can do that at nerdonthestreet.com, sign up for our forums, and talk to us. At nerdonthestreet.com, you can also find links to our entertainment channel that Displaced is still running on, or our gaming channel, and we do have gaming videos that come out about twice a week. For now, though, that's everything I have to say. I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm Nerd on the Street, and I will see you guys later. See ya.